Facebook page. Thank you for taking the time to celebrate with us our 15th anniversary. We launched BERSIH on the 23rd of November 2006 in Parliament. And afterwards, I think you'll see a photo of that. Some of us, some of you who were there that day, historic day, were still very young looking 15 years ago. But what a 15 years it has been. You know, what a journey, not just for BERSIH, but also for this country. The changes that we have seen, the momentum for change that took place in these 15 years and still taking place is really, I think to some of us, not very hopeful, but to many, we have seen that change is possible. And in many ways, you can't talk about these changes that took place in Malaysia without considering the role that BERSIH played in the change, you know, where we galvanize people who at one point felt hopeless, felt that there was no possibility of change. Then along came an idea called BERSIH, an idea that election must be free and fair. You know, it's not about who comes to power, but whoever comes to power came to power fairly and squarely and cleanly. So that was the idea for BERSIH when it was birthed in 2006 by a group of opposition politicians. Some of them are here. Tian Chua, Dr. Zhu, Sivarasa, in fact, was YB Sivarasa was the one that came up with, I'm told, the name BERSIH. And what a brilliant name, you know, what a brilliant name. BERSIH, in case for our friends from the embassy, you do not know what that means. In the Malay language, it means clean, clean, you know, clean election, clean government. And with that, BERSIH started, and it was through mass protests that we gathered the attention of the public to the issues that need to be addressed. And through these issues, people became aware that our elections has not always been free and fair. There were flaws, there were huge problems. And with that, there was an awareness and a demand for electoral justice to take place. So we saw, after the first protest in 2007, there was the following year a general election, the 12th general election, where the opposition, for the first time, did extremely well. It was a political tsunami of 2008 that led to the opposition taking hold of 5 state governments. And many of the founders of BERSIH at that time became elected representatives. So when that happened, a decision was made that BERSIH has to be led by civil society, and it cannot be linked to any political parties or politician. So the decision was made, and in 2010, BERSIH renamed itself BERSIH 2.0. So that's how the 2.0 came about. Many of us, people whom I met, you know, they are confused because we name our protest rally also 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, and 5. And when I introduced myself, I'm the chairman of BERSIH 2.0. Oh, how interesting. So who is the chairman of BERSIH 3.0 or 4.0? You know, and I had to always go through the explanation. So, but that's how the 2.0 came about. And Dato' Ambiga became the first chairperson. Then later came Pak Samad as the co-chair of BERSIH 2.0. And with that, BERSIH grew to become a people's movement because people were demanding justice. They want to see that this country is no longer dominated, controlled by a small group of elite for their own selfish gain. But they want to see a country that is determined, the future determined by the people themselves. So they came out in large number, in the thousands, tens of thousands, and hundreds of thousands to support the rally. So election where in 2013 we saw that for the first time Barisan Nasional lost the popular vote, popular support, and the two-third majority. So the momentum for change was there, and BERSIH continued to play a role to create greater awareness. And under the leadership of Maria, who will be joining us shortly, BERSIH continued to push for a cleaner government. So when the 1MDB scandal broke out, the anger of the people need to be vented. The anger of the people need to be expressed, in a peaceful way, but yet at the same time an impactful way. So it was in 2015 that BERSIH called for BERSIH 4, our fourth rally. And that one was significant in the sense that, for a few reasons. One was that we were not attacked by the police. They left us alone. In fact, instead of, like in most democracies, they should be there to facilitate us, to keep us safe. They left us totally alone for 36 hours. So it was the 36 hours rally where we slept overnight near the Dataran Merdeka and the roads around there. And it became the first ever peaceful rally, and it showed to Malaysians and the government that Malaysians are capable of holding a peaceful and responsible rally to express our dissent to what was happening at that time. So that was the 1MDB scandal. Then 2016, again, there was a revelation, I think by the Asian Wall Street Journal, of how the money was taken, the amount of money, obscene amount of money that was stolen from our country. Again, there was that pressure and a demand for action. And BERSIH called for the fifth installment of the rally. But the fifth rally was again different. It was a rally that preceded by a convoy, the BERSIH convoy, that for 1.5 months, BERSIH and our supporters on the ground all over the country, every weekend we came together in a car convoy, traveled from towns to villages, and connected with ordinary Malaysians to bring the message for a cleaner country. I think that was something that really, I think, touched the hearts and soul of the nation. Almost every corner of the country got a bit of the message for a cleaner country. So that was BERSIH history. But in between, we also were active. In between the rallies, we were actively pursuing fairer delineation. And we were making preparation for the delineation that was coming up by the Electoral Commission, by the Election Commission, EC. And if you know it, the system has been designed to be unfair right at the boundaries. Through gerrymandering, through malapportionment, BERSIH took on that task of going around the country to educate people, to prepare them to object, but in the process, educate them to the injustice that was taking place through our election. So that was a good fight. We knew it was always going to be a tough fight. We couldn't win, but our goal was to delay the delineation, which we believe we succeeded, that it was finally passed just, I think a couple of weeks, 2 weeks before GE 14 was called by Parliament. And this is the kind of work that BERSIH does. And since then, of course, we know what happened to our country. There was a change of government. There was a change of government against all odds. Unexpectedly, Pakatan Harapan won and formed the federal government in the 14th general election in 2018. I think there was like something broke through, you know. Somebody said, you know, the air smelled fresh the next day. You know? And there was an openness with the new government. There was a willingness to engage with civil society, which we gladly took on, together with many other civil society organizations. We engaged actively with the Pakatan Harapan government to fulfill the promises made in the manifesto that they won on. You know, many of the manifesto call for institutional reform, which we are still calling for. And with that, we were looking forward to some substantial reform in this country. But unfortunately, the PH government lasted only 22 months, and with the Sheraton move, there was a change in government, and suddenly PH was in opposition. But through the Sheraton move, we also saw the many flaws and weaknesses in our political system, many flaws that allow elected representatives to change party allegiance, you know, to defect from their party or their coalition and bring about a change in government. Because not only was there was a change in federal government, but following the Sheraton move, there was 7 changes in state government. I know many of you lost count, but we kept count. The last one, of course, was Malacca, you know. But, you know, and I will say to you, these things will go on and on, unless something is done about it. Unless something is done about it. And in this country, you have 1 general election, but you have 3 prime ministers so far. And it's not over yet, you know. We don't know whether there will be a change. But it's no laughing matter. I think for many people in this country, especially going through the COVID pandemic, we want stability. We want a government that is functioning. We want a government that is able to deliver needed policy, health policy to keep people safe and alive, and economic policy that will revive, you know, businesses and restore livelihood. We don't want politicking like this that is continuing, you know, MPs hopping, Aduns hopping left and right, you know, because there are incentives built into the system. So this is the work of BERSIH. What we have been doing in this last 1.5 years since Sheraton move has been, we identified these flaws and weaknesses. Instead of just saying these are the problem, we look for the solution. We commission reports, research report. We commission experts to research from around the world, do comparative studies, and come out with recommendations that are tailored for Malaysia. Tailored for Malaysia. And then what we do, because with every research, we engage with the political parties from all sides. You know, we want to hear from Pakatan, we want to hear from UMNO, we want to hear from MCA, we want to hear from Gerakan, we want to hear from Bersatu, from Sabah, Sarawak, all the parties, to get their views so that we can incorporate some of those views into our recommendation. So basically, we want to solve the problem of this country politically and of the electoral system as well. And because unless these problems are solved, this country is not going to go ahead or move ahead. So after 15 years, as you know, though we have come a long way, and there's cause for celebration, I want to say, perhaps many of us feel disheartened, disillusioned. But I want to remind all of you that change came about at the last general election when we thought it was not possible. And I want to say to you also that the momentum for change is still there. It's still there. But what we cannot afford is to lose hope. We have to have hope, not only hope, but hope that is based on some clear strategy, clear solution for this country. And BERSIH, while we are celebrating 15 years of achievement, we also want to embrace the future. We want to engage with what is happening. We want to play a key pivotal role in what is happening in this country, so that we will build together a Malaysia that is harmonious, that is fair, that is inclusive to all citizens, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of creed. And this is the vision of BERSIH. And I thank you for being part of BERSIH. BERSIH is not BERSIH without the support of all of you and the thousands and thousands of, maybe millions of Malaysians out there, who have supported this and make this a people's movement. So we look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Over the years, BERSIH has been mobilized by many different Malaysians who have contributed to this movement in significant ways. The movement has been like a baton handed from one runner to another, from one generation to another. Let's take a look at BERSIH and the people behind it over the years through this short video.
With the people, an unbelievable moment. Standing in the middle with the people, singing the guitar. BERSIH initially started as a clean and fair election movement. It's gradually built into a movement for democracy. So the challenge was to encourage people to get interested in this boring subject because it was so vital to our democracy. People didn't know they were being cheated.
Chin Huat, Ambiga and myself actually had the idea that it would be an advocacy NGO looking into electoral reform and improving the processes and the procedures. But it was the people who decided, the direction of BERSIH, turning it into a people's movement.
BERSIH menyediakan satu naratif yang boleh diraih, dipercayai oleh ramai rakyat Malaysia. Tanpa rakyat, BERSIH tidak akan hidup dan juga berjuang.
When we were first founded in 2006, Malaysia was ruled by the same coalition for almost 5 decades. Election was just a formality to endorse the same government again and again. BERSIH galvanized the public and made them believe that change was possible.
Planning the protest of BERSIH has always been challenging. From day one when we got involved in BERSIH 2 rally in 2011, we are from the NGO, never planned large protests before. We were told that we were doomed to fail. Somehow or other the people came out, they supported and they had that confidence, and they wanted to be part of this whole movement. So it didn't matter that we got arrested or we got caught into court cases, but we know that we had the support behind us. When I was arrested, I didn't know what was happening outside. When I came out, then I only know that, you know, what has happened, yeah, the rallies. Actually, images that I cannot forget. There was so much of confidence in all of us that we feel so empowered to be able to actually move forward. Seeing the sea of yellow is really very empowering for me. When you look at BERSIH 5, we went from town to town. We actually did it was mainly because it was a way to reach out to people and tell them that this is what we are doing, this is your platform, this is your movement, and we want to hear their participation.
I was organizing and mobilizing various teams throughout the length and breadth of Sarawak to take part in the BERSIH convoy. We were virtually traveling like 800 kilometers from Miri to Kuching. We were sharing about BERSIH's demands. It wasn't easy because it was, number one, it was quite hard to get people to buy into the BERSIH call for reforms. But at that time, we had the 1MDB scandal.
How do we get the message to the people? What would the 2.6 billion mean to the people in the interior? So we change it now. We say like, okay, in this area we say 2.6 billion berapa juta kerbau kau boleh beli, berapa juta bidang tanah kau boleh beli. So this one they get it. So what is memorable about this is that people begin to understand more that it is not just an agenda from West Malaysia. It is now our voices. Because one of the tuntutan which is written in the back of the t-shirt is to memartabatkan hak orang Sabah dan Sarawak.
Wearing the scarf because this reminds me of Global BERSIH. The creation of Global BERSIH, Maria did the work on that, which has grown into its own movement, worldwide BERSIH movement. This was given to me by someone, a BERSIH supporter in Melbourne. And everywhere we went, you know, where there were BERSIH supporters, you would be met at the airport, or they would ask you to speak, or so it made us a family, and that was a very wonderful, memorable journey as well.
Saya mengimpikan Malaysia untuk menjadi contoh kepada dunia bahawa rakyat berbilang kaum, berbilang agama boleh hidup sekali dan boleh memajukan negara ke tahap yang sangat-sangat tinggi.
We can't leave Malaysia that is riddled with bullets of corruption, of all these imbalances of power. Why I'm here? Because I believe in democracy, I believe in the power of the people, and it's not just the work of one person. It has to be a continuous work.
I keep going because of the future that I see. I keep going because Malaysia is worth fighting for, has always been, will always be. No matter how overwhelming the negativity is coming from the government, we must push back. We must call it out. If it's racism, we call it out. If they're inhumane, we must call it out. But the hope I have lies in the youth. I have seen some amazing this Lawan movement, the Undi 80 movement, what they have achieved is unbelievable, and I think that is our hope for the future.
It is time for the Rakyat to reassert our supremacy and to make the elected representative work for us. But more than that, we want the public to be with us in this push for reform. 15 years later, our vision is still to be that beacon of hope for Malaysians who want to see a fairer, cleaner, more democratic more inclusive and harmonious Malaysia. BERSIH identifies some of the weaknesses and loopholes within our political system. After we have identified them, we commission experts and researchers to look into the best practices from around the world and make recommendations that would strengthen our democracy. We do our advocacy, number one, by reaching out to politicians and lawmakers from both sides of the divide, and also engaging with the public so that they will understand what needs to be done to improve our democracy and strengthen our political system. We continue to push for key electoral and institutional reforms that will make democracy and politics work for the people instead of being a constant source of distraction and instability. Ketuanan pengundi, hidup demokrasi.
This video was crafted by a talented team called The Fourth, led by the very talented Ian Yee, who has been nominated for very many awards. I would now like to call on Ian to come on the stage to say a few words.
Hi everyone. Sorry, it feels a bit weird, like I'm supposed to do spoken word poetry or something. But, yeah, I think when BERSIH first reached out to us to do this, we were just incredibly honored. I think we said yes immediately on the spot, but also very, very nervous because we really didn't want to mess this up. It's so many iconic moments in time in our history that were brought about by BERSIH. But ultimately, we decided to just do the simple thing. Let's just tell their stories. Just remind people what BERSIH really stands for. And I know a lot of people just say, yeah, it's an election thing, right? It's about free and fair elections. But what does that really mean for the people? And we realized that our values are actually so intertwined. Right? As journalists, we play the role as the fourth estate. We defend justice, we defend freedom on behalf of the people by speaking truth to power. And BERSIH does the exact same thing, through advocacy, through monitoring and stuff like that. So we wanted to highlight all of that. And another thing we wanted to kind of shine through in this video is the price that they've paid as well, the struggles that they've gone through, obviously the stresses. In many ways, they've sacrificed their freedoms in order to fight for the freedoms that all of us sometimes take for granted. So that's what we hope we've achieved. And if there's one thing we hope this video will do is to inspire other people to play their part. BERSIH has played their part over the past 15 years, and now it's over to all of us. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ian. To mark BERSIH's 15th year, BERSIH has crafted a 15th year anniversary publication called A Journey to Democratic Breakthroughs in Malaysia, a coffee table book detailing the key achievements and progress by BERSIH and messages from key contributors to the BERSIH movement. If you reach into your goodie bag, you'll be able to find the book. For those of you who don't have it, you can purchase this book for 20 ringgit. To unveil this publication, I would like to call up Thomas Fan, the chairperson, Beverly, vice chairperson for Sabah, Chow Ying, the treasurer, Alex, member of the steering committee, and Sui Sing, executive director. Could you please step on stage? We would like to invite Yap Sui Sing, Executive Director, to do the unveiling of the book.
Thank you to the Secretariat who put
Thank you very much. Now we'll have a sharing session by some of the key contributors to BERSIH. Can I invite Dr. Ambika Srinivasa on stage to share with us?
Hi everyone. Thomas, thank you for organizing this, inviting all of us. You brought back many memories with all the stories that you said earlier. So how does one become a BERSIH member? Okay, if you think about it, my qualifications are these. 1, you must be Malaysian. 2, you must love this country. And 3, you must like yellow. Apart from that, nothing else. And that's what we saw on the streets for BERSIH 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course we are waiting for 6. And I suspect time is coming for a BERSIH 6. Congratulations to the current BERSIH. They have done some amazing work. You can see that BERSIH has evolved over the years, and today's BERSIH has worked very hard to bring up more reform, things like recall elections, which if they manage to get through would be a huge, huge achievement. And I congratulate them for all the professional work that they are undertaking, getting reports, etc. done. Now, there's no doubt that BERSIH played a very important role in bringing change, as Thomas mentioned. We also brought little changes along the way. The Peaceful Assembly Act, I think we can take credit for that. The indelible ink, most definitely we can take credit for that. Observers, credit for that. And what about all those cases we filed in relation to the redelineation? And let me tell you, that is still a current problem. Don't ignore what's going on in the EC, okay? Quietly, I believe things are happening that will impact the next general elections, which could be upon us very, very soon. But I miss those BERSIH days when we had so many supporters from all political parties, one of whom was PAS, actually. People may forget that, but I don't think we should forget that. But PAS was very much one of the pillars of the BERSIH movement. They had their unit Amal, who looked after the safety of the people. And PAS really and truly believed in the democracy and justice that we were fighting for. That's the PAS I miss. And it's a pity, because justice and freedom and democratic principles don't change. We change. People change. Groups change. That never changes. Truth never changes. And that is what we must always strive to support. We should never change in our support of those core values, because then really you can't be a BERSIH member, really, if there is a membership. Now, above everything else, BERSIH's impetus or moral impulse for what it is comes from the people. It doesn't come from 1 or 2 of us, or 3 or 4 of us. We were just there to make the arrangements, to lead the movements. But without the people, we would have been nothing. And till today, BERSIH must be seen as a people's movement, and is a people's movement. It continues to be a people's movement. We will be nowhere without the people. What we do for the people. We don't do it for anyone else. We do it for the country and its people. That's all. And that, and only that, must always remain our aim. We would be nothing without the people. And of course, Thomas has mentioned global BERSIH. What an achievement. What a huge family we have, not just here, but all over the world. So, our roots are all of you. Our roots are the people. And what we must strive for, what we strive for at every stage, would be different. The next general elections will be one of the most important. Because of COVID, we have all been restricted, unfortunately. Otherwise, I guarantee you there would have been a BERSIH rally before this. Guaranteed. But because of COVID, there were restrictions. But I don't think we have those restrictions anymore. While Thomas is, you're working with all the various peoples that you've said, and I think you have achieved a lot doing that, and I congratulate you. Be ready to put on your shoes and walk to the streets. Because honestly, that time may be closer than you think. That time may be closer than you think. It is time for us to demand better leaders. Enough of all this giving in to leaders who are not great, even dishonest, corrupt. It's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. We cannot stand here and say that the flaws, some of them criminal in nature, in the leadership is okay. It's not okay. And it's time we spoke loudly again. So for me, hope for the future, yes, I said the youth. And they will stand with us, I have no doubt. But for me, we need BERSIH. Hidup BERSIH.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ambika Srinivasan. I'd like to now call upon In-Charge Cheryl Aman on stage.
Assalamualaikum, salam BERSIH. Thank you everyone, thank you Debbie. I don't know why I'm standing on stage. I don't think I was supposed to be speaking. I think the Secretariat planned for Zaid, who is the one who got me into this trouble. To be honest, I wasn't involved in BERSIH from the start. I wasn't in BERSIH 1, 2. In BERSIH 3, I was the bodyguard for some of the leaders in BERSIH. I was taking my motorbike, driving to all the places in BERSIH, looking after some of the leaders and taking them and being there, being ready to ferry them out if suddenly the police would, strike. So I wasn't a person who has been through from the start. In a way, you could say, Zaid took me from the aeroplane, pushed me off the plane, and I came in BERSIH at the end of BERSIH 4. And somehow or other, I have learned so much from BERSIH. My father was an appeals court judge. Somewhat in the ranks with Tun Zaidin. We were neighbors at one point in time. But I never knew anything about the law from my house. But I learned so much from BERSIH on the roads, in the courts, on the run from the police, on the constitution and our law. So it has been, as an individual, it has been so enlightening. And I believe that BERSIH has done the same for so many Malaysians. On the eve of BERSIH 5, when we were raided by, I think maybe about 20 police officers, SBs, and then the MCMC came in. That night, the future was unclear. Maria was taken, I think Tian was also taken. Were you? Okay, a lot of others were taken. Adam was taken, definitely. No, you're not. Okay, there were a lot of people taken. And we didn't, I didn't know for sure how BERSIH was supposed to be run tomorrow. That very night, I just switched off my handphone, I took off the SIM card, and went somewhere outside of KL. The next day, I came in on motorbike, took 2 motorbikes, and bypassed the police into Masjid Negara. And lo and behold, there was no one there. There was just a few people there. And JJ was standing there early in the morning, about 7 o'clock, and he told me the police wouldn't allow the pickup truck to come in. And then when it was my turn to speak, and I just stood on the stool in front of the Masjid Negara, there were more police than there were people. How does that make a newbie feel? It was scary. But like what Ambi said just now, the people didn't give up hope for BERSIH. By noon, the streets were flooded with people. When we started moving from Masjid Negara to Jalan Masjid India, it was just super jam-packed. It was inspirational. Then we moved to KLCC, and I just rested on the side of the road, and seas of people just keep coming in and just moving and moving and moving. You just can't imagine how BERSIH has managed to inspire, gave strength to the people to come up, to raise their voices, and to seek for their rights. That is what we want in Malaysia today. We want to build stronger, braver Malaysians to uphold our rights. We cannot let the country go downhill. We have, in one way, we can claim a lot of victories for GE14 and many other things, but I think the road is still long. There's still a long way to go. There's still a lot of work to be done on public literacy. There's still a lot of work to be done on changing values. And we need to move smarter, bigger, and with the youth. And it has to be done. And who has to do it? We have to do it. And we have to find new friends, new people, new blood to steer the country ahead. What got us here may not bring us to what we want to achieve, but we have to make it happen. Thank you all. Thank you, BERSIH.
Thank you, Church Cheryl. I remember the next time I'm running for the police to remove my SIM from my phone and then come back with 2 motorcycles. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to mention that Church Cheryl was the former acting chairperson of BERSIH. We now have Anna Simbang dialing in all the way from Sabah and will be joining us. Hi Anne, over to you.
And today we are celebrating, but I'm sure we have still a long journey to go. But whatever it is, I think this is a very important time because it gives us the opportunity to reflect where we have traveled. Yeah. So for us in Sabah, especially here in Pakos, the BERSIH movement has been a platform for us to learn more, to have that awareness, and also that opportunity to talk more about our rights, about our participation in Malaysia, besides creating the awareness for a clean and fair election. It has not been easy, but I think as a people's movement, it gives us that solidarity, even though we are across the ocean. But I think for me, the BERSIH movement has given us that solidarity, strong solidarity between Sabah, Sarawak, and Semenanjung to work together for something common and something that we can fight and work towards together as a civil society movement. For me, I also saw the BERSIH movement as also the opportunity for our youths in that years, in the expanse of that 15 years, as an opportunity for them also to participate and to have that awareness on the democracy in Malaysia. And I'm very proud today because these youths who were with us during those journey in BERSIH, now many of them are leaders of CSOs in Sabah, and Beverly is one of them. We are proud to have young people moving forward and still gathering more young people. Memang perjuangan kita itu belum selesai. Kita Abiga said just now, maybe kita perlu bertemu lagi, tidak lama lagi, so that suara kita boleh dikeluarkan. I know recently it has been heartbreaking for us. We feel our country is going down. But I think as a people's movement, we must not allow that to happen. Yeah. So for me, perjuangan mesti diteruskan for the journey for a clean and fair election, the journey to assert our right as as a people in Malaysia, to have a better Malaysia is still satu perjuangan lah, kita belum selesai. Thank you for this opportunity, this historical movement, ketabian, ketahuadan, dan hidup bersih. Perjuangan diteruskan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. And we have, last but not least, dialing in from Germany is Nirmala Devi Vingator. Hi, Nirmala. Hi. Okay, over to you, Nirmala. Hi, Nirmala, we can hear you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can
okay.
hear you.
Great. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity to be heard, to be a part of the celebration, even though we are really far away, jauh di mata, dekat di hati. And let us see, 15 years, it's a long time when you see it through some viewpoint, and another viewpoint, it's not too long. But nevertheless, if BERSIH was a tree, 15 years ago, the roots started. The roots went deep into the ground. And the roots are the people that we are talking about. That's the passion, the motivation that has grown the tree. And from these roots, it has developed into a trunk, the bark of the tree. And those are the principles of BERSIH. And through these strong roots and the strong bark came branches all over. And one of these branches are the overseas Malaysians, the Malaysian diaspora. BERSIH 2.0 has been very supportive towards the Malaysian diaspora. That can be seen with the development or the creation of Global BERSIH. BERSIH 2.0 has played a huge role in giving overseas Malaysians a platform to be a part of the change that we want to see in the nation. One might argue we are far away and why should we be interested, but the heart always beats for the homeland. So Global BERSIH, that was created as based on BERSIH 2.0, on the principles of BERSIH 2.0, has played a big role for us, the Malaysian diaspora. And at the same time, the Malaysian diaspora has also played a big role for BERSIH 2.0, I think. It's a symbiosis. We've been working together, trying to bring BERSIH 2.0 to the international world, and at the same time, BERSIH 2.0 providing a platform and a communication for us. The thing is, I'll read to you something that we wrote about one of the BERSIH gatherings that we had. The day the sun didn't set on BERSIH. 10 years ago, overseas Malaysians worldwide stood united to support BERSIH 2.0 walk to electoral reform. New Zealand started the day, followed by rallies in several Australian, Asian and European cities. The ripple then spread across the Atlantic Ocean to the cities in North America, ending the historic day at the West Coast cities of LA, Portland and San Francisco. Indeed, the sun did not quite set on BERSIH 2.0 on that day. The global locations displayed banners and posters. Hidup Bersih, Hidup Rakyat was echoed through the streets of more than 80 cities all over the world. I think the most significant impact from these gatherings is the realization among the diaspora Malaysia that we are not alone in our love and concern for our mother country. We still believe that we are a part of the change that we demand and are willing to stand up for it. I think that kind of shows how much BERSIH has impacted the Malaysian diaspora in the last 15 years. Coming back to this tree, you have the root, you have the bark, and you have the branches. Only through strong roots, the strong bark and strong branches can this tree stand through the test of time. I think the BERSIH tree has gone through a lot. They've gone through tsunamis, they've faced wind of changes, they've been accused of using foreign fertilizers for the tree, they've been accused of some people tried to cut down the tree, some branches started to rot. So through its process, the BERSIH tree has gone a lot. Sometimes it had to cut away a branch, it had to maybe make the bark a bit stronger. So there were lots of changes that we have been going through in BERSIH. But I truly believe that with the roots, the strong roots and the strong bark and the branches, there will be flowers and fruits. Those will be the changes that's going to happen now, this moving forward. And as we move forward, we have to remember to take the best from what we have before. That would be the roots and the trunk, and create new branches from that in order to move forward. We, the overseas Malaysians, are very excited. We're very thankful for the journey that we had. We are very excited to see which direction we are going to go. In 2007, we gathered for BERSIH 1. In 2011, we walked with BERSIH 1. In BERSIH 2. In 2012, we sat, duduk bantah. And in BERSIH 4, we had a sleepover. And in BERSIH 5, we convoyed around the nation. So we are looking forward to see how we can move with BERSIH 2.0 in this journey. And we are going to survive. It doesn't matter. There's going to be tsunamis coming, there's going to be wind of change coming, but as long as we stand on the roots and the bark and the branches that we have built so far. It's going to work. I've picked up some words that we have said today, some of the words that have been used by every single person that spoke today. Truth, power, justice, freedom, inclusive, trust, empowered, educate, and most of all, interestingly, change and hope. So thank you very much, BERSIH, and let us continue the journey in the most best way we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nirmala. I'm very, very happy to let everyone know that YB Maria Chin is in the house right now. So I'm going to get YB Maria Chin on stage to say a few words.
Salam sejahtera. And good afternoon to everyone. I'm so sorry I'm very late, but I was held out at the Parliament session. Dr. Zul is here. We did have a quorum, so I had to run in again. No. Congratulations to BERSIH 2.0 for putting this all together, and also reminding us of a great movement that we have actually created from what me and Abhiga thought, and Chin Huat, where is Chin Huat? Oh, here. We thought it was an NGO, but it turned out to be a people's movement. And it was all decided by the people themselves. And that is the wonderful part of actually BERSIH 2.0, where we actually facilitated. We are not even leading, but actually we were led by the people, what they wanted, their aspirations, and also what they wanted for this country. So I think we journeyed through more than 10 years, and it was a journey that I don't mind repeating again, to be honest. Not the rest, of course, but I think that this is something that actually brings very close to my heart, because I learned a lot through my journey in BERSIH, in the sense that the connection with the people, what they want, and I have been able to actually apply a lot of it in my constituency work. For that, I am very grateful to BERSIH for all the lessons learned, and it came from the people. So congratulations again, and I really look forward to BERSIH working very closely, hopefully with the politicians, to actually continue our whole journey of reform. That's what we all want. Thank you.
Thank you so much, YB Maria. Right now we're going to showcase a short video on the history of BERSIH. stage again to share with us about BERSIH's additional responsibilities and to launch the new name and new logo of BERSIH.
Thank you. My mic on? Mic? Maybe Debbie, could I borrow your mic?
No, it's working. It's on. It's on.
All right, okay, thank you. Yes, you know, I mean, watching all those videos and hearing all those who spoke, you know, really the memories all came back. I am a product of BERSIH. I am standing here today because of the courage, the leadership of past BERSIH leadership steering committee, Ambiga, Pasamat, Maria. My first BERSIH that I took part in was BERSIH 2 in 2011. I was one of those 50,000 or whoever that came up from Johor Baharu overnight in a train, making sure that we don't have anything yellow, even underwear, in case the police open our bag and see yellow and stop us. So we smuggled ourselves into the capital overnight in Pudu. In the morning, came out and walked around, looking very quiet like normal tourists and everything. And then when it came close to 12, suddenly we heard chanting, Hidup BERSIH, Hidup BERSIH. And we joined the nearest crowd. And it was one that I believe it was all the past supporters that were there. And we were just a few non-Malay that joined the flow behind Dayabumi. And I tell you, I mean, Ambi said it, when we sang Negaraku that day, tears came down. Tears came down. I felt, this is Malaysia. This is the Malaysia I want. This is the Malaysia I will fight for. And this is the Malaysia I'm prepared to lay my life for. It was from that protest, tear gas and everything. Maybe it was the tear gas that did something to my brain. But I went back that night and I sat down and wrote my first proper article on why I marched in BERSIH. And from that moment I say, what can I do? What can I do to play a part in this country, to save this country? And it was then that I was already active, registering voters with my group of friends in JB. But the following year, when BERSIH called for another protest, the BERSIH 3 protest, some of us say, we will go to KL and support. We will definitely love to be there, will be there. But some of us say, how about doing it in Johor Baharu? So we started asking around, who's going to organize? Who's going to organize? Nobody, it turned out, was going to organize. Then they said, since you want to do it in Johor Baharu, you go ahead. And since I talk the most, you become the leader. You know? And that's how we ended up organizing BERSIH 3 Duduk Bantah in Johor Baharu. We follow the KL copy book to the letter. Duduk Bantah 2 hours mean 2 hours. And we literally sat on the field for 2 hours. Thankfully, in Johor Baharu, the police did not attack us like they did in KL. But I was stirred by what happened in KL. And I said, though we had a peaceful protest in JB, and we are thankful for that, we will be in solidarity with our comrades in KL. And that was how I was drawn into BERSIH, the steering committee the following years, and now here I am. But this is what BERSIH does people. You know, when we are willing to stand up and be counted, and I can tell you, many of us paid the price. We have been called in to police station many, many times. Maria has been detained under solitary confinement, you know, for 11 days, 10 days. No, but you know, it's worth it all simply because you know that Malaysians are with you. Now, it's been a hard journey, it's been a long journey, but it's worth it, but there's still a long way to go. But even as the political environment shifted and changed, BERSIH wants to stay engaged. BERSIH wants to stay relevant and playing a pivotal role in the change that is coming to this country. Maria said she hopes that BERSIH will continue to engage with the parties and the politicians. Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to engage with current lawmakers to bring about laws for the benefit of the rakyat. It is always for the rakyat. I want to echo what Ambi just said. It is always for the rakyat. Never, never for any political party, politician, or for self. We are volunteers, the steering committees, all along, in case you don't know. We willingly volunteer ourselves, our service. And some of us, though we are volunteer, it's almost like full-time work for us. But you know, it's worth it all. When we begin to see the reforms that is taking place. Now, Malaysia is going through upheavals. But you know, these are like throes of birth pangs. It's like we are, I want to believe that this is an opportunity whereby we can come up with solutions to put right what is wrong. And you know, the way to bring about reform is actually to work with parties and politicians from all sides. And I'm very thankful that this afternoon, I know we are in the middle of a parliamentary session and the budget is being debated and discussed, and yet we have friends, you know, from Parliament who are here today and taking time to be with us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Every one of you. And you know, we want to support you and stand with you so that we can bring about political stability. But you know, political stability is not everything. Because if it's everything, democracy is not the best system. North Korea is actually more stable than any country in the world. North Korea. You know? But it is stability with accountability to the rakyat. That's what we don't have as well. Now we all want stability. What are the solutions? BERSIH has, over the last 1.5 years, introduced ideas, concepts, political concepts into the political conversation. The idea of confidence and supply agreement between parties to bring about stability. Well, MOU is a form of CSA. It's a form. We have introduced idea of recall election to deal with the problem of party hopping, because we cannot go on this way where there is impunity, no consequence, and there are incentives built into the system for party hopping. Money, position, freedom from persecution or prosecution if you are aligned with the government. These are all flaws that must be corrected. So we introduced those ideas. We demanded equal constituency development fund. Because how can a government punish voters who voted for opposition by withholding funding and allocation because they are opposition seat? Now that is becoming part and parcel of the political norm in Malaysia, where in the MOU and even in different states in Perak, Johor, and now Malacca, likely to be implemented all this equal CDF. Ideas like constructive vote of no confidence. New idea, but consider it. You don't replace an incumbent sitting government unless you can prove that you have a majority. That would take away the ability of small group of politicians, four in Malacca, that brought down a state government and trigger unnecessary state election while COVID is still a threat. So these are ideas that we have learned from democracies that are far more advanced and mature from Europe and everywhere, and we are introducing these things. And we want to work together with all parties. We identify the reformers in every party, and they are reformers. And we work with them so that we can bring about the needed stability to our country and also the needed accountability so that we don't have rampant corruption like 1MDB again. Now, in view of this new strategy, BERSIH hasn't changed in what we want to achieve. You know, institutional reform and reforms that benefit the rakyat, but what we may have changed is how we approach it, the strategy and methods. In line with that, we feel that the steering committee of BERSIH want to make two important changes. One, we have been called BERSIH 2.0, and I explained that earlier, how that 2.0 came about. Because we need to differentiate ourselves from the original BERSIH that was founded by some of our friends here from political parties. You know, in 2010, it became totally civil society, and that's why we added the 2.0 at the end of the name BERSIH. So we have been known as an organization BERSIH 2.0. But now, after 11 years of being a civil society-led organization, and people always just call us as BERSIH, and sometimes the 2.0 brings about more confusion than actually answers. I think we have become clear that we are independent, we are free from any political party influence, that it is time now for us to drop the 2.0 and just be known as BERSIH, you know. And along with that, an upgrade, I wouldn't say a change in logo, as you're going to see, but an upgrade to the design of the logo, which I hope you will like. There are only two things I told the designer, Fahmi Reza, who designed this logo. Only two things I asked for. The red tick must be there, because you know, that is so synonymous with us, the red tick, and yellow. All other things, you are free to use your imagination to change. So he came up with this and he explained to us, and we liked it, and I hope you will like it as well. So we want to unveil the new logo to you right now, and I hand back to Debbie because we have a little gimmick to unveil that.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Can I invite the audience to look in your goodie bag right now? We've inserted a piece of the BERSIH logo in your bags, and there are 11 tiles in total hidden among the audience. And if you're one of the lucky ones and find a tile, please bring it forward to to the stage to stick it on the board. Ladies and gentlemen, BERSIH would have never been possible without the collaborative effort of its key players, endorsing NGOs, members of the public, and many others. Thomas, YB Maria, Dr. Ambika. If you have placed the tile on the board, can we have you to stand by the new logo for a picture? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is BERSIH's new logo. And again, we have the person who named BERSIH, YB Sivarasa, with us today. Woohoo! Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, we now have a very special entertainment session. For this, we'll have to ask you to not record or take photos with flash, but to put your phone on silent. We will also be switching off our Facebook Live, so online audience, we will be back later after this session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the